Let's go. Let's get a few people in here. And then we're going to kick things off. Let me just smoke in the meantime. Hope everyone's doing well. There's people now jumping into the room. How's everyone doing? All right. So I'm going to tell you about my day today. I'm going to take these glasses off because they're reflective as a motherfucker. But I'm going to tell you what I did this morning. Because what I did this morning was a little unique. I had a conversation via Skype with a journalist from Iran. Now, let me backpedal here and let me explain. So I have a LinkedIn profile, and I never look at my LinkedIn profile. I don't use it for anything. It's there just so it could be there. But I don't actively check out my LinkedIn profile ever, okay? So I have this LinkedIn profile, and I get a message on LinkedIn. I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. Maybe somebody wants to give me money for something or a job. And I get this guy, and he says to me, hey, I'm from Iran, and I'm a journalist, and I see via your LinkedIn profile, you're a journalist too. And right away I go, this is a fucking setup. Something's wrong. Like, is the Iranian government trying to hack me or something? I got a little paranoid. I'm not going to lie. Because I literally was like, is he going to like ask for my email and then try and steal my password? Like, what's this guy's game? Like, what's he trying to do here? But I respond, and here's the thing. If you know anything about me, and people will say, whatever, conservative, proud boys, Trump, MAGA, they'll say 100 things. But here's what they don't understand about the Trump crowd whatsoever. We'll talk to anybody. We are not, like, that's why I always laugh when they say that, like, Trump supporters have, some ulterior motive or some agenda. It's like, ulterior motive, agenda. We are not men of mystery. If you ask me what I think about something, I'm going to tell you. Like, if you say, what do you believe about this or what do you believe about that, you're going to learn. Trust me. You're probably going to learn with me talking about it way too much. And I'm the kind of guy, I'm not Antifa. I'm not a liberal. I'm not going to go, I think you disagree with me. Blah, blah, blah. Now, that being said, when a guy from Iran reaches out to you to say, I want to interview you about journalism, I go, I literally said, am I allowed to do that? Like, don't they have like sanctions on them? And they're supposed to be like part of the evil three. And am I allowed to talk to? I'm like, well, I'm not going to Iran. He's Skype calling me apparently, so I'm going to talk to this Iranian fellow, and apparently he's a young guy, young journalist, wants to know, and he's telling me like, well, London time is 8 or whatever, England time is about 8 hours ahead, so we have to coordinate. So I'm thinking, oh, there you go. He's in England. Perfect. Okay. I'm not calling Iran. That would be crazy. I would be a fucking nut to actually call a country with a hostile government to our country, right? So I'm going, okay, England. Oh, he's a student or something. He's probably in England. All right, great. Yeah, I'll call you Friday. And we set a time. And this morning I Skyped in, gave him a call. And the first thing I said is, hey, buddy, so you're in England? And he goes, no, I am in Iran. And he didn't talk like that. He was actually a very friendly guy. Young guy, I'm wearing like a robe and a fucking one of these. And he's in like a tie. And he told me, I want to ask, how much money can you make as journalist? And how do you become journalist? And how do you do journalism? And I'm laughing at the concept of the question. Because here's what everyone knows, and everybody watching right now, I'm positive you are aware of this. There is no journalism. There is no. I'm technically a journalism. I'm a journalism, and so can you. I'm technically a journalist because that's what they call me. But I'm very biased. And if people were just more honest about their bias, I have no problem with their bias. But when Buzzfeed is like, we're not biased, here's the truth. I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up. When CNN is like, we are non-biased news, we swear. Anyway, Trump was getting peed on by Russians left and right, and they never correct themselves. It's like, well, at this point, you're not a journalist, you're an advocate, which is what I told this Iranian gentleman when he was asking, well, what's actually the first question he asked me, and his English wasn't great, and he spoke in Persian to introduce me. And then we spoke, and he said he's going to post it later and put subtitles, something like that. I have no. By the way, that's the other thing. His English was very good, but he wasn't. It's way better than my Persian. I'll tell you that much. But unfortunately, despite how good the language barrier could possibly be between us, I would ask him questions like, "So where's this going to be posted?" And he would go, "Yeah." And I'd go, hey, like, what are you doing here? What are we doing? Like, but I realized, like, okay, there's a language thing happening. All right, whatever. And he even told me after I answered the first question, and I talk the way I talk, which people tell me I have a very thick New York, New Jersey accent. I don't notice it at all. Apparently, people from other countries who have English as a second language can't understand a fucking word I'm saying. When I go to other parts of the country, like I love Louisiana, when I go to Louisiana, they will make fun of me. My name's Paul, so they'll go, "Hey, Paul, you're going to drink some coffee?" And I'm just like, is that how I say it? Coffee, 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 coffee. So this is a thing that, is happening now. His first question to me was, how dangerous is it being a journalist in America? And I was like, oh, shit, that's a weird question. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And he starts going like, when you go to do stories, I'm like, it's very dangerous. I'm like, I've been in Antifa heavy places. I've been in places where just me being there meant that I was putting myself at risk to get spit on, to get punched in the face, to get robbed. And I said, if you have a camera and you're a journalist, these people are out to commit crimes. That's why they're wearing masks. They try to go, no, we're wearing masks because the government is so oppressive against our wonderful socialism that they'll put us in gulags. And it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, buddy, give me a fucking break. We all know that that's fucking utter, complete, and total bullshit, right? Like, everyone knows, for one thing, if de Blasio knew who all these Antifa people were, and he probably does because they're probably eating dinner with him at Gracie Mansion every Sunday, but Bill de Blasio would be down on his knees sucking their fucking dick in New York. AOC would be just like balls, would be smacking her in the face with just Antifa guys. And it's like, okay. But when I've had these conversations with them, like, and you think that AOC and Bernie Sanders and Bill de Blasio and Andrew Cuomo are out to oppress you? How does that, doesn't add up to me. It doesn't pass the smell test even fucking a little. But nevertheless, that's what they claim. The real reason we all know is because they're breaking shit, they're burning shit, they're robbing people, they're assaulting people, and they're committing crimes left and right. So when you do that, you don't want your face out there. And that's also why when I show up to things and I have my camera and I'm taking pictures and going, oh, that guy's face, they get all camera shy. And I've always said I've never been afraid to show my face, as ugly as it fucking is. I've never been afraid to show my face because I'm not doing anything wrong. And that's what it always seems to come down to for me. Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, why should I hide from you? I didn't do anything. I'm not an asshole. You're a fucking asshole. Like, when people were like, oh, maybe you should use a different name if you're going to talk about the Proud Boys. And maybe you should use a different name if you're going to talk about MAGA and Trump and this and that. I'm like, why? I should be allowed to do that. What am I saying? Am I saying something that's that fucking crazy? Like, what? Like, show me the sentence that I said that's fucking batshit insane, and we could sit and talk about it. But I'm yet to have anyone show me something that I fucking say where I go, oh yeah, you're right. Where it's not like a joke, or it's not like something I'm saying to be shocking, or just to wake people up in the middle of a conversation, but some idea I actually believe that you could point to, and I'll go, Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's a rough one. Like, you think that aliens live in your turds and the toilet's going to attack you? It's like, yeah, yeah, that's a crazy one. Yeah, no, no, no. It's like, fuck, man. I don't even believe in Bigfoot. But this Iranian fellow is talking to me, and things start getting interesting because, like I said, I'll talk to anyone. If you have a fucking pair of ears, I'll talk to you. If you put me in a room with a house plant, I'll talk to the fucking house plant. I don't give a shit. And if you hate my guts, I'll talk to you about that too. If you love me, I'll talk to you. If I've never heard of you, I'll talk to you. If you're some student from Iran, I'm like, maybe this will help one guy. Maybe this will help me reach out. So that's why I'm talking to this guy from Iran. And he starts going, "Oh, so you like Trump?" And I'm like, "Yes, I do." And he goes, "Oh, Iranians don't like Trump." And he starts asking me about the sanctions. And I go, "Yeah, that's right. You guys have sanctions." And he goes, "Yeah, yeah, it's killing us. We can't trade. We can only trade with like Syria and Afghanistan." I'm like, "That sucks." Like, I even said, what are you going to get from Afghanistan? Are you going to get three goats and some guy's daughter? Like, what can you possibly get from Afghanistan? And he's like, well, what do you think, Biden? Do you think he'll lift the sanctions? I'm like, Biden doesn't know where the fuck he is right now. I said, Biden is sitting in an adult diaper and somebody's spoon feeding him pudding and applesauce and pills, and they put something in front of him every now and again. They're like, "Hey, you're the president now." And this is what I even said. I go, "I'm told Joe Biden's the president. I am told he technically holds office right now. I'm yet to see a chain of events that led to him holding office that makes any kind of sense." And I was pointing out that in the media in the United States, you had a lot of people question the election. And all we wanted to do was see some evidence because there was a lot of weird stuff happening. And there was a lot of, and, you know, we ask questions like that. Twitter kicks us off. You lose your Facebook, you lose your Twitter, you lose whatever the fuck network you're trying to build if you, remotely question the election because Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Twitter are more powerful right now than the Roman Empire. That is a fact of life. The Roman Empire wishes they could be those four companies, and guess what? Those four companies are all on the same page because it's really easy to be a socialist once you already have a few $1 billion in the bank. Then all of a sudden it's awesome to be like, hey, I got my money. Hey, let's prosper. Hey, look at that. North Carolina. Uhuru, man. So that's what I so I'm trying to explain to him in a diplomatic way relations between the United States and Iran. Because, most people would go, "Oh my God, aren't you just going to be like, you Muslim?" No, I've always said the same thing. I have no issue with Muslim people. My issue is with Islam. My issue is with a system of ideas that I think is the mother lode of bad ideas. The people, even the people who might ascribe to certain ideas in the same way that there's people in this country that are technically a Catholic, but they don't, doesn't really affect them. They're more concerned with getting a cheeseburger than being a Catholic, to be honest with you. But I'm trying to explain this to them, and explain the sanctions, and I'm saying, you know what you people need? I go, I don't want to fight you guys. And I go, and I think Donald Trump took a lot of people out of the Middle East, which I like, because I said, I want to concentrate on our country. I don't want to concentrate on every other country in the world. I don't want to be the world police. I don't want my country to be the world police. So I wanted to concentrate on America, and that's what he did. Biden wants to get involved in the whole fucking world. I don't like that. He goes, yeah, but the sanctions. I'm like, do you know the key to world peace? Does anyone comment if you know the key to world peace? I'll give you about 3 seconds to tell me the key to world peace. Because I asked this Iranian fellow, what's the key to world peace? Do you know? And he goes, oh, yes, yes, yes. And he starts thinking, he goes, negotiation and listening and negotiation. And I said, not even fucking close. No, negotiation has nothing to do with it. Liking each other has nothing to do with it. Agreeing to disagree has nothing to do with it. There's one thing on earth that will bring everyone world peace. You know what that is? Money. Trade. Trade. If you're trading with a country, you're not going to bomb that country. Now, the problem that we have with Iran is you're doing for one thing, the death to America stuff we don't like. And the issues that we're having with them are you're building nuclear facilities. I said this to him. He goes, "Oh, yes, we are." Now you have to keep in mind, I said, our government doesn't have a problem with you. We have a problem with your government and what they're doing and what they're not doing and what they're saying and what they're threatening. And here's, I said, so because you screaming death to America and then you want to bomb Israel and all this other stuff, Israel is our ally. Why is Israel our ally? Money. Why is England our ally? Money. Why are all these countries our ally? That China even is technically an ally because of trade. Because of trade. That's why when people were like, we're going to have a war with the Chinese, I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? They make all our shit and they have all our money. Like, they take our money, we take their shit. It's a good fucking deal. Iran has to come up with something like that. And I said, I think if you're worried about the sanctions, I told them it's up to you guys. And I don't know how an Iranian election goes because I've seen the way an American election went a few months ago, and my head still fucking hurts from it. But I said, you have to get somebody in there who's interested in trade and capitalism. And we'll say, hey, hold on. Iran has something to offer. What that something is, I don't know. Is Iranian rock and roll really cool? I don't know. Could they make a great pair of blue jeans? Who the fuck knows? But once upon a time in the 70s, has anyone ever seen pictures of Iran in the 70s? Iran in the 70s looked like America in the 70s. And I'll tell you this fucking much. Persian women are fucking smoking. The fact that they put them in those fucking ghost costumes is a goddamn sin because Persian women are smoking hot. And back in the day, they were all wearing mini skirts and had hairspray and they just looked like typical American families. The dads all had sideburns and big groovy glasses and wide lapels. And then when the religious sect took over Iran, that's when they said, okay, we're running under Sharia law now. All the women have to cover up. All the men have to do this. Everyone has to pray 5 times a day. Everybody. And that fucked everything up. And of course, there's going to be holy wars and this and that. And I was explaining this to him and I was being very diplomatic. If he wanted to ask me about Islam, I would tell him my feelings on Islam. But I figured like, hey, let's try and keep it civil and don't ask, don't tell. This guy seems like a nice enough guy. I have no issue with him whatsoever. So I'm explaining my positions to him about, you need a guy who's going to say, we got to stop with the nukes because we want to trade with you. That's all they have to do. And I even said, when Donald Trump was in here, he's a businessman. Instead of screaming that you're going to bury him and you're going to kill him and you're going to kill American soldiers while they're in the Middle East, what you need to do is sit there and go, okay, I know this is complicated, but we want money. I mean, we're technically allies with Saudi Arabia, right? Saudi Arabia is rich as fuck. Why? Because they give us some of their money, they invest in our shit, we buy some shit from them, and everything goes around like that. So I said Iran, and he said, well, the military might take over the government now. Do you think that's a good idea? So isn't that good? And I'm like, listen, I told him there's an American expression. To a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Fair enough. So if you're a military guy, everything looks like, how do we solve this problem? Maybe we should bomb those motherfuckers. Maybe we should have more nukes. Maybe we should have more planes. Maybe we should have more weapons. I said, you need a businessman. You need a capitalist. You need your own Donald Trump. I go, because here's the thing. I go, I hate to tell you this. Donald Trump is not the president of Iran or was not the president of Iran or whatever he is now. He was the president of the United States. So you can't say, oh, I don't like Donald Trump because of the way he treated Iran. It's like, it's kind of up to you. And I told him, and he admitted, I go, America has the best, biggest, most technically advanced army in the world. Agreed? He's like, oh, yes, you guys. I go, we are a giant country. He's like, oh, you're a very big country. Yes, we have a lot of people. Oh, yes, a lot of people. I go, right, we have a lot of money. And he's like, yeah. I go, you're not going to beat us. And then, and I recommend if you ever talk to anyone from the Middle East, from India, from, Uzbekistan, from China, anywhere in the world, this is how you get them on your side. It's not hard. I did it today, and I could see it click in his head, like he understood exactly what I was saying. All you have to do, if you're talking to somebody from the Middle East, or if you're talking to somebody from East Asia, mention The Rock. That's my strategy. Mention The Rock if you're talking to anyone from the Middle East. Mention wrestlers in general. But specifically, everyone knows who The Rock is. Everyone around the world, even North Korea, they know who The Rock is. Iran, Afghanistan, they all know who The Rock is. And I go, well, I'll put it to you this way. Oh, because I'm skipping a very important part. He brought up us killing General Salamundi, which I think that if you have your head screwed on straight, you knew that that was a pretty good idea. Salamundi was a murderous terrorist who was swearing to murder Americans left and right. He was doing whatever he wanted to do. He was a really messed up guy, and Donald Trump killed him. I was pretty happy. I was like, wow, the world's a better place without that guy for sure. And I'm not Mr. Military Intervention guy, but in that guy's case, and I brought up The Rock, and I said, think of it this way. You know how big America is. You know how strong our army is. You know what our technology is like, right? He goes, right. I go, that would be like if you went to the nightclub or you went to a restaurant or something like that, and you saw The Rock, and you're a little guy, and maybe you're kind of strong and powerful, but you're little at the end of the day, and you walk up to The Rock, and he's at his steroid fucking worst, and you go and slap him in the face and say, I'm going to go home with your girl tonight, Mr. Rock, Dwayne. What do you think's going to happen? The Rock's going to destroy you. He's going to pull your fucking head off. And he starts laughing, going, okay, yeah. I go, right. That's what you guys did. America is The Rock. Unfortunately, Iran is still the Iron Sheik. But America is The Rock. And you were slapping The Rock, and you were talking crap about The Rock. And after a little while, The Rock is going to layeth the smacketh down on your candy ass. And that's exactly what we did to Salamundi. Salamundi said, I'm going to take on America. It's like, dude, you lost the fucking plot. You lost your mind. If Salamundi really genuinely thought for 2 seconds, like, Iran is going to take out America, it's like, I'm sorry, dude. Like, you're out of it. And I explained this to him, and he's like, well, yes, he's one of our generals, a great general in Iran. I'm sure for you guys, you think he was great. The problem is the rest of the world feels threatened by him, and he's threatening them actively, and then he's swearing to kill Americans. And then I happen to bring up that I do have a distant cousin who was blown up in Iraq. If that resonates, because when you say I'm going to kill Americans, in my mind, I'm like, oh, so you're like one of the guys who blew up a cousin I'm removed from, but he died actually in 2005 in the mess hall attack in Iraq. If anyone remembers that, it was a big news story when it came out because some suicide bomber came in and he pulled his suicide vest. He Alu Akbar all over the place, blew up, and one of the people who died was David Roran, who is a cousin of mine. So a very distant cousin, but still, it's like, family nonetheless. I have other cousins and other relatives. I mean, my whole family's military. So it's like I have all these people who've been to the Middle East. I haven't, but all these people I know who've been to the Middle East. And I'm thinking, like, so when Salamundi's like, oh, if you come near us, we're going to get you. I'm going, so you're talking like specifically about the people I know. So I can't like that. And I'm explaining it to him that way. And he understood. And he went, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. He was very sympathetic and great when I said that to him. And I thought, okay, he's not stupid. And I kept reiterating. And this is how I brought it up. because he also brought up George Floyd, and he goes, "Oh, there was a lot of stuff with the George Floyd thing." And then I tried to keep bringing the conversation back around to the media. I go, "Yes, and the media tells you certain things about George Floyd, right?" And he goes, "Right." And I go, "Okay." And the media says one thing, and then when new details come out that maybe contradict something or maybe make you think, "Ooh, it's a little more in the gray area than it's black and white," no pun intended. When the media tells you that, or when you finally find out that information, it goes nowhere. They put it on they bury it in the middle of the thing, or like a very small periodicals start talking about, like, the drugs they found in George Floyd's system, the fact that he was resisting arrest, the fact that he went to jail before for several years for putting a gun on a pregnant woman's stomach while his friends robbed the house as he was high on meth, the fact that he was high on meth that day, the fact that he was high on fentanyl that day, the fact that he was having probably a drug-induced panic attack that day, the fact that he wasn't complying, the fact that he was resisting arrest. And I said, "What did you hear?" He goes, "I heard he said, 'Don't shoot me, my hands are up, I am a black guy.'" And then the cop shot him. And I took a pause and I went, "How did George Floyd die?" And he goes, "A police officer shot him." And I said, "Where'd you hear that?" And he goes, "The Iranian news." And I went, "George Floyd was not shot." And he goes, "No?" And I go, "No." He goes, "Well, in the news here, it says that he put his hands up and they shot him." And I said, "No." I go, "Well, there's video of a cop with his knee on the back of George Floyd's neck, but he wasn't shot." And the argument is, did that cop kill him, or did he have like some COVID drug induced panic attack induced heart attack while he was down there because he was squirming, freaking out, probably because he knew he was going to go back to jail for a very long time. And the cop was restraining him with his knee on his neck. Now, is that the right thing the cop should have done? I don't know. Have I seen it done before? I have. Do I think it's effective for restraining someone? I do. Do I think that that cop decided to kill George Floyd that day, that he walked out cracking his knuckles going, "Can't wait to kill a black man today"? It's like, no, I don't believe that for a minute. I would really need some convincing. And I'm bringing it back around to, this is the media tells you one thing and they tell us one thing. And look, isn't that a wonderful example right there? That these people, as my argument was, I go, they're activists. They're not journalists, right? They're doing activism. They're not doing journalism. They could give a fuck. If you're a journalist, and I told them this because he's a young guy, I go, we're going to talk about real journalism versus bullshit journalism. If you're a journalist and someone asks you, "Why did you become a journalist?" and you say, "Because I want to change things," you shouldn't be a journalist. Unfortunately, everybody now is a journalist. And he was asking me, "How do you make money as a journalist?" I just start laughing. I go, "Listen, it doesn't matter how good you are as a journalist." I go, "For the most part, journalists don't make that much money. If you want to write whatever the fuck you want to write about, it means they're going to pay you zero to start. And if you start getting paid, they pay you like $20, $25 an article. And then if you're good and you do your work, sometimes they ask you to write 5, 6 articles a day, which is fucking insane, but that they ask. Um, and I'm trying to explain to them, like, if you're some asshole with a Twitter account with 100,000 followers, you could get hired for a journalist in any newspaper in the country. You don't have to know how to write. And I gave him an example. I go, "I don't know if you know who this guy is, but look him up. His name is Sean King. Sean King has no writing skills whatsoever. He's purely an advocate. He's an activist. He's a protester. He's not a writer. He's not even good at when you read his writing, it's not even like, well, I guess he's persuasive. He's not even. He just rambles and rants about black people, and then it turns out he's not even black. So it's like, what? Why does he have a job? Oh, because he has like 400,000 Twitter followers. So they'll give him hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And I said, some douchebag at Buzzfeed, if he's doing videos on YouTube or whatever, and he's an influencer and has a lot of people following him and whatnot, he can get a job at Buzzfeed. Does that mean he's doing great journalism? No, you're not rewarded for doing great journalism. You're rewarded for clicks. You're rewarded for getting a lot of followers. So I'm trying to explain this to him. And, what I liked about the guy, because I said, our governments, or even Donald Trump, myself, if I'm talking about Iran, I go, we're not talking about you, like you, the guy. We're talking about your government. And we're talking about some of the worst parts of your people that might affect us. And I said, and I brought up terrorism and I saw his face kind of, ooh. And I went, okay. I go, I'll put it to you this way. And I actually love this conversation because I love making people admit shit like this. I said, if you go to the poorest, blackest neighborhood who's all screaming, oh my God, George Floyd, oh my God, Trayvon Martin, oh my God, Mike Brown and Sandra Bland and whoever else they come up with, Breonna Taylor and all these people. If you have an honest conversation in the hood and you say to them when they go, well, the guy wasn't doing nothing, blah, 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 and you go, my friend, do you know people who would shoot a cop? And they'll go, oh yeah, I know guys who shoot cop. I go, okay. And even like, especially for Trayvon Martin, I go, do you know any 17-year-olds who were killers? Oh yeah, those 17-year-olds are in gangs now. They're killing, right? Do you know 16-year-olds who were killers? Well, yeah. Do you know 15, 14-year-olds who are, I do. Okay. Because people here, how do they treat the cops? Are they really nice? Oh no, man, they'll motherfuck the cops right away. I'm like, right. And then women are harder. Trust me. Women are more difficult, particularly black women. I date them. So, trust me on that. They don't change their minds. Black dudes, though, I think dudes in general, if you come up with an argument, they'll go, you got me there. And I said to this guy, now I'm not talking about you, and I'm not talking about your wonderful viewers who I'm sure are watching this and having a great time right now. But you live in Iran, right? And he goes, yes. I go, we both know you guys got some bad people there, right? Not you, not your friends, not the normal person in Iran, but there are guys running around who are causing trouble, right? Right? And he went, yes, there are. And I go, yes. So we all know, we could speak honestly. We're just two guys talking from opposite sides of the world. I said to him, so those guys are the reason that are making problems for you. So when you're saying that I have yes. when you're saying, hey, we're having problems with your sanctions and this and that, because it was such a weird conversation. And it's one of the reasons why I did it, because when life hangs that weird hard left, I always take the path. So when I see an Iranian guy living in Iran wants to talk to me, I go, fuck it. This is going to be crazy because these people want to bomb us. We want to bomb them. And, our people never talk. So this is going to be great. So I'm telling him this, and he's admitting to me, I go, well, that's the thing. It shouldn't be the United States' job to go into Iran and clean up your government, right? Isn't that what always gets us into trouble in the first place? Shouldn't it be your job to go in there and take out your own, we'll call them troublemakers, who are living in Iran and screaming death to America and burning our flag? And he said, well, yes. And then he goes, I know you like Trump, but a lot of people in Iran really didn't like Trump because of all that. And I went, it's none of my business. And I go, and that's the point of Donald Trump. Who cares what you think of us? I don't care what you think of us. Donald Trump said, you should be concerned what we think of you. And that's how I feel about my country too. And then I also explained to him, I go, I live in the only country where I said, I love my country. I'm proud of my country. I think my country is beautiful. I think my country is excellent. And I love it. And I live in the only country on earth where saying that in my own country gets other people in the country to go, that's a racist, horrible, xenophobic statement to make. I go, you're from Iran, right? He goes, yes. I go, you love your country? He goes, yes, I love my country. I go, well, there you go, buddy. You're allowed to love Iran, and nobody's going to go, don't you love Iran, when you know what the fuck is going on in Iran. But I'm not allowed to love the United States of America. And he said, well, what kind of leader do you think we should have? I go, I'll tell you what kind of leader I want Iran to have. And I'm not even joking. I don't know how they get him in. I don't know how they elect him. But I want a guy with fucking turquoise cowboy boots and a 10-gallon hat, holding a six-pack with 5 beers from the empty loop while he has one in his fucking hand, going, this America shit is fucking great. Money is awesome. And he kept laughing. I could almost tell he's trying to stop himself from laughing, because I'm saying things to him like, do you understand what America has? How cool America is? We have gambling and strippers and beer, and we have cigars and hot tubs and pools. We have fucking movies and jeans and hip hop and rock and roll, and the women. Oh my God, the women. I know pretty much every country on earth has fucking great women. Now, there isn't one country that's going to go, our women are terrible. I hate our fucking women. Even Russian women, for years behind the Iron Curtain, America was told that these Russian women, they're all haggard with moles, and they're walking around with like a sack full of onions and going, werewolf, or, whatever the fuck they do. But truth be told, the Iron Curtain opened, and we went, where the fuck were you hiding all these broads? All these beautiful, blonde, slim, big-eyed, that's where all the models come from, is Russia. So Russia, with all their communist backwardness, was hiding all these hot girls. And I'm telling you, underneath all those little fucking umbrellas that they wear, Iran, once it becomes Persia again, has some fucking women that they're hiding. And you know what? I want some of those fucking women to come here. The good ones. The good ones. Not the, ones screaming about whatever, trying to light themselves on fire. I want the good Iranian women to come here. And I told him, our American women, America, I think, is the best place for women on earth. I think we have the hottest girls. We have the best shit. And I'm trying to tell him this. And and he's laughing like, and then he's like, I want to go to America. Like, by the end of the conversation, I'm trying to like, okay, man, well, I think we got it. Thank you. And he's like, I want to go to America. You're near New York? I want to one day visit New York, and maybe we hang out. I go, if we hang out, my friend, and I'll tell you this, and I've hung out with people from the Middle East before who've never been to America. My objective, and it should be your objective too, if you have some guy from the Middle East who's like, I don't know anything, you go, come with me, and you fucking show him the best time of their fucking lives. Dare them to eat bacon. Be like, come on, man, bacon, motherfucker, cheeseburger. Come on, eat it. You take them to strip clubs. You fucking go to all the coolest spots. Make them eat fucking pizza at Lombardi's in New York. Because what you want, and this also helps with the peace in the Middle East and how to get good leaders in the Middle East. What you want is people from the Middle East who come here, and people from all these like backward ass countries who come here. We need to let them know how cool we fucking are, because that's America's chief export. We're the cool country. We kick ass. So come, show up. Let me take you to a wet t-shirt contest. Anyone from Iran, I will take you to a wet t-shirt contest. Syria, get in there. North Korea, I'll take it. Get Cuba. Oh my God. Bring Cubans over here. I will fucking dive into a pool of Cubans and hug every single one of them, because the second they get out of that fucking shithole, they will fucking love. They will love the United States. They will love my country, and they will love and appreciate my country more than some of the malcontents who live in it. And by time I was done with this Iranian interview, and I have no idea what it was for. I have no idea what website it was for. It literally was, I just don't turn down interviews. And I was like, well, this is interesting. And it's weird he found me on LinkedIn and whatever. I have no idea what's going to become of that. But I'm telling you, I think I should be the fucking Secretary of State. Because I think I solved all this shit. I think I could solve relations with Iran tomorrow. I would literally sit down with whatever the fuck they have over there and go, stop being a dickhead. You want money, right? I'd just start showing them fucking calendar girls of girls wearing red, white, and blue bikinis and shit, and be like, look at that. Look at that. Really? You're going to let those good dudes in dresses fucking tell you what the... Tell them to shut the fuck up. Get them out of here. Do something. Get your soldiers, show them this, and then go, those guys are keeping you from that, and watch them turn around. Because best fucking movie that was ever made on the war in Iraq was a movie called Heavy Metal in Baghdad. And the reason I liked it was because it showed this Iraqi metal band who lived in Baghdad. And the guys were like wearing Pantera t-shirts and stuff, and the guys were walking around and they were like talking about like, I learned, and they spoke really good English. They go, I learned from Pantera and Metallica how to speak English. And you're like, that is fucking incredible. If I listened to Iraqi music all day, I couldn't come out speaking a word of fucking Iraqi. But these guys somehow learned English. They love it. And they're dressed like my friends. They're dressed like the guys I fucking hang out with. So who am I to, like, in my head, I'm like, inside all of those potential fucking jihadists, inside of all those religious crazy extremists, there is a Metallica fan waiting to get out. And we just need to show them. Yeah, I guarantee you with the jihadists, with this and that, when they're around all their jihadi friends, if you go, hey, everybody, I want to show you something. This is Jennifer Aniston's nipples. And what do you think of these? Aren't they fucking great? If you did that to them in front of all their friends, they go, and they'd be screaming at you and fucking yelling at you and all this other bullshit. But if you did that one-on-one with them, if you go, look at Jennifer Aniston's nipples, they go, I love those nipples, you got to go to pinch them. They would immediately turn it into that, which is fucking lovely. Because at a base level, that's all we really want. And if you tell them, you don't have to blow yourself up, motherfucker. You can just drink a beer and fucking hang out in a pool with some broad in a bikini and be like, oh, really? You wax your bush? That is wonderful. And you could sit there and do that shit all fucking day. And I think that women in that way could bring us peace. Tits equal peace. The only other note I have from the interview is he told me I look like Steven Seagal. And then somehow we started talking about the movie, the horrible Steven Seagal movie, General Commander, which he really fucking liked, which made me think, is Steven Seagal only making movies for Iranians now? Makes you think, where's Steven Seagal's head at? Well, anyway, I think that's all I got for today. Thank you, everybody, once again, for taking the time to listen to me. And once again, I have nothing to fucking plug. Don't share this. Don't tell your friends. This conversation's between me and you.